Hey gang, Ross Brandt here for LivestreamUniverse.com. This is Livestream News. We're going to be talking about Hurricane Harvey and the aftermath and how you can help people who are struggling, who've been affected by the hurricane, coming up at 3 p.m. Eastern on Twitter. It's mobile chat hosted by Anh Nguyen, and she'll be talking all about the different ways that you can help people who are struggling in the wake of the hurricane and with the flooding and everything else. Texas just devastated by flooding. 17,000 people across Texas right now are in shelters, 45 shelters across the state. In Houston alone, there are 9,000 people currently taking refuge in the convention center, and they're no longer able to take in people from the big buses that are coming by, though they are taking a few walk-ins still. Houston's mayor has already made a request to FEMA for assistance to cover an additional 10,000 people, and the city is looking to open additional mega shelter locations. Right now, they're doing their best to keep people comfortable, but people are lying on cardboard and blankets and don't necessarily have enough to eat. And it's a tough situation across Texas, but particularly in Houston, which has been hit really, really hard. I want to bring in our guest who is in Houston right now, Anh Nguyen, and Anh is the host of Media Chat, which you can follow every Tuesday, 3 p.m. Eastern, of course, on Twitter, where all Twitter chats are held, and she's here to talk about what she's experienced and seen and heard from friends and neighbors and people right there in her community where it's kind of all going down. Welcome in.
Hi there.
So tell us what has been your experience first of all. It looks like you're at home, so at least you're safe. How has it been for you getting through this rough storm?
Well, my family and I have been very, very, very fortunate because we have not lost power, which is amazing. And then we have not had water come into our home. We've had high water up to the yard, but it has not made it into our home. So we are one of the very lucky ones because I've been glued to the news and watching the devastation around the city. It's heartbreaking and heart-wrenching. And so definitely one of the very fortunate ones here. Have heard from friends who've had water come into their homes. Others have had to shelter with their neighbors whose houses may have been a little bit higher than theirs. Others have actually been evacuated via boats. So it has definitely touched pretty much almost everybody's lives here in Houston. I did want to, while the devastation here in Houston is immense, and there's no downplaying that, I did want to mention that Harvey hit Rockport, Port Aransas, and the Corpus Christi and Port Lavaca areas, then that was a direct hit before it started moving over to us. While it stayed over us longer, those tiny towns without the resources that Houston has are completely wiped out. So we need to remember them as well. And I feel like because we're bigger and we get more coverage, we may have overshadowed their needs.
Right. And you can see in the pictures that you sent me, wow, I mean, downtown, the water's rising up on the buildings almost at the top of the trees, and then just how muddy and watery, the whole, so much flooding. I mean, the big picture view of it. How is your area hasn't been hit as hard, or is it like depends which street you're on almost how bad it is?
Exactly. You're absolutely right. It's very random as to which street. So in my own neighborhood, we have been very fortunate to, like I said, we've had high water, but I haven't heard of any really flooding in my little subdivision. Right. But the areas that are just right outside my subdivision, which are like 10 minutes away, which is roads that I normally travel, there are people being rescued by boats and being evacuated from their homes. Wow. And then there's another area that I just heard of this morning, Baytown, which is, I want to say probably 25-minute drive away. There are people who are on their roofs this morning because the water has gotten that high. So the rain has diminished, has come back, has diminished, has come back, but really there's nowhere for the water to go. So the water is going to continue to keep rising.
Wow. How long do they think it's going to be until it actually starts to reverse itself and drain a little bit?
Months.
Are you serious?
I wish I was joking, but no, there are areas that will drain pretty quickly, but there are areas that will be months before it's drained. I think it was last year. We had the tax day floods. I believe it was last year, and there were certain areas of town that, yeah, we still had high water for months after that, and that was not even. It's just a percentage of what we got here this time around. So it's going to take us a while to recover.
Wow. We're talking with Anh Nguyen. This is live stream news talking about the effects of Hurricane Harvey. Welcome, Rachel, Michael Joseph Murray, Connie. Thanks so much for joining us. Please do share this out. Let people know. Ann's going to be talking a little bit about how you can help. I know a lot of people want to get involved. Certainly those of us who are in dry areas that haven't been hit feel really terrible that we're able to go about our lives unaffected. I mean, it's just a really weird feeling knowing this is going on and wondering how you can help. I guess to give a preview of what you're gonna cover on Media Chat, what are just some of the ways in general that people can help?
Sure. A lot of people have been sharing information about the American Red Cross, which, of course,
Mm-hmm.
as we all know, is a stalwart organization who has always helped in natural disaster areas. So definitely that's a great organization to donate to. Another tip that we got recently from Megan Ortiz, who is the founder of Big Give Houston, was to look at local charities and nonprofits who could really address immediate needs, because the Red Cross and other organizations like that can definitely help us overall and in the long run. For right now, there are really immediate urgent needs such as clothing and food, as you mentioned, at the shelters and other things, because these people literally showed up at the shelters with just the shirt on their backs. And so I would really, advise looking into local charities or churches to donate to via their websites, because not only do they really do the work in the community immediately, but their funds can get to them immediately as opposed to donating through a third-party platform. Again, those other organizations are great to continue to donate to. I'm not trying to downplay them at all.
Right,
But for
right.
immediate and urgent needs, I think that, like the Houston Food Bank,
Mm-hmm.
and then I think in South Texas, there's the South Texas Food Bank, and then the San Antonio Food Banks, because those people are going to need definitely food and things like that. And then at the shelters, I know there's churches that are opening up for shelters, and we'll be able to get more definite information
Mm-hmm.
on mobile chat in a little bit.
So head on over to Media Chat at 3
Mobile
p.m.
chat.
Eastern. Mobile Chat. Oh, God, I'm so sorry. I always mix them up. Media Chat is Aaron's. We won't use that graphic again. Mobile Chat is yours. Did I say Media Chat earlier, or did I say Mobile Chat earlier?
You did say media chat, and no worries, because people get us confused all the time, and I couldn't have asked for a better chat or better person to be confused with, right? I love Aaron.
Oh.
But today I need people to find the info, so
All right,
mobile
next
chat.
time, just jump in and interrupt me. So don't let me say it wrong twice. So it's Mobile Chat. It's 3 p.m. Eastern. And is, of course, the host. And do head on over to Twitter at 3 p.m. Eastern, because she's going to be sharing other ways you can get involved and you can learn a lot more about what's going on. Michael Joseph Murray has an interesting comment. He says he's been watching a lot of coverage on Facebook Live using the Apple TV app. And you mentioned in a Facebook post over the weekend that live streaming's been a big way that you've been able to stay up with what's going on. How have you been using live streaming or watching live streaming to stay in touch?
Sure, absolutely, because we lost the TV signal here pretty quickly. We have DirecTV, and just the hint of rain knocks it out. And so I was like, okay, where's my computer? And the local news stations have been really good about live streaming all of their broadcasts. And this was not something that was available to us the last time that we had a major hurricane, because it was just the advent of social media, and live streaming was just a dream in our heads. And now I love the fact that live streaming and video is able to help get information out to people, because many people did lose their TV connection or they've lost internet access, and we're still able to get this information via their mobiles. And so live streaming, I think, played a really, really big part, an important part in getting information out this time around.
Wow, that's terrific. obviously it's in tough circumstances, but it's good to know that we have these tools as we need them, and that live streaming is good for more than just entertainment and self-promotion and things like that, but it can actually be another way to stay on top of things, just like radio has been, or your mobile phone, your mobile connection, which I'm sure you're going to cover as well, has been obviously a big part of what's kept us going through tough times. We had Superstorm Sandy here where I live. I think it was 2012, the fall of 2012. And I was without power for a week, no heat, no running water. And fortunately, this device kept me, obviously it wasn't a good phone like this back in the dark ages of 2012, but it was good enough to keep me in touch with what's going on and connected with people and stuff like that. And I remember being so excited when I could actually go back to work for the first day, because I had no electricity, so I could actually charge my phone at work and do some work and contribute, of course, but charging that phone was really kind of what I was really all about that day.
Yeah, and Julie was saying that people were posting their addresses to be rescued on social media, which
Right.
was good. Unfortunately, they were posting it on like the emergency management office's social media sites, which is manned but not manned for those purposes. And so
Right.
I know people were using social media in that way. I think that unfortunately they may not have gotten that information out correctly. One interesting thing is that Channel 13, who's is the ABC affiliate here in Houston. The anchors were on air the entire time, and I literally was glued to their broadcast the entire time. One of the anchors was getting tweeted at and texted addresses because they were out there. Their reporters were out there with the boats and people who were rescuing them, and so he was literally giving them the address and sending them to these houses to be rescued. And so that's another comment that I wanted to make, is that our agencies and first responders were stretched to the max. And what was amazing was that we had the community really mobilized, like neighbors truly helping neighbors. But we also had others from other areas come in to help us, like the Cajun Navy from Louisiana came in to help us with their boats. Literally, it was like this convoy of trucks with their boats attached coming in to help us. And
they've been hit pretty hard too, Louisiana, right?
Yes, they usually get hit pretty hard with storms, and I think Harvey is moving that way to pour down some rain on them. Hopefully, not in any as bad a fashion as it has over us. We've had other people from San Antonio and other towns who saw the need for help and rescuers and jumped into their trucks and got their boats and came down to help us. So social media and live streaming helped mobilize that. And then the cool thing, and I kept hearing about this app that the Cajun Navy was using. And so, of course, me, mobile chat and apps, I've got to go investigate.
Right.
And I found it, and it was called Zello, Zello. So if you guys are listening, I'd love for you guys to be a guest. But it's an app that allows you to use your mobile, like a walkie-talkie. Remember old school walkie-talkies?
Right.
Communicate that way. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Wow. So what are are there other mobile apps that you've seen being used? Obviously, all of our social media apps are mobile apps as well, right? And we use them both on desktop and laptop, but on our phone more probably than we do anywhere else now, like Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and things like that. Have you seen anything that stood out to you in terms of a post, in terms of something on a mobile app or whatever that you said, wow, that was a creative way to use it, or that was kind of interesting, I wasn't expecting that?
Really on Facebook, a lot of just different information sharing.
Right.
And again, the live streaming, while that isn't unique to us anymore, it is unique in this situation, as I mentioned, because previously when we've had natural disasters like this, like Hurricane Ike, which was 9 years ago, we didn't have those capabilities. And so that uniqueness has really lent itself to helping us get information out. Zello was probably the one app that I heard about most. As far as other apps, we'll probably talk a little bit more about some donation apps and things like that. I know like Apple has made it available to make donations via iTunes, things like that. So, but it's really, you're correct. The social media apps were what really
Right.
kept everybody informed and in touch. And it was probably a lifeline for many too.
Yeah. We're talking with Anh Nguyen. She's going to be hosting Mobile Chat at 3 p.m. Eastern on Twitter. And you'll want to head on over there and learn more about what's going on in the wake of Hurricane Harvey, and also in terms of how you can help out. She's going to be providing some ideas, as are the people chatting. And are you having a guest on this week, or it's going to be you and your co-host just going one-on-one kind of?
Yeah, no, we originally had Phil Gerbershek
That's right.
scheduled, but I just didn't feel right about having just going on with life as normal.
Right.
But I wanted to really use the hour in some way that would be helpful. And so truly we're just tweeting out information and taking questions from anybody if they want to. And Helica, lucky her, is in Orlando on vacation, and so missed a lot of this here in Texas. And so she will be chiming in as she can, because I believe she is in Epcot going around the world right now, if I'm not mistaken. So, like I said, a lot of it will just be me sending out information and really hoping, wanting people to share it, and then also ask questions about how else they can help.
Right. Julie makes a great point about live streaming. She says people have been using Periscope to do their own reporting, and that's the thing. You don't necessarily have to wait for the news to show up and get a camera person and a reporter and set up and all that stuff. Anybody with a mobile phone now can let the world know what's going on in their neighborhood, on their block, in their home,
Yeah.
Or
no, she makes a very good point about Periscope. I think on Good Morning America, they had focused or highlighted a story about a lady who used, I believe it was Facebook Live, to get some attention. She and her kids had been stuck on a rooftop for a number of hours and were waiting to be rescued. And so that's, again, the way to use Periscope and Facebook Live, and back to that live streaming and video, and how we can use it for good now, not just entertainment.
Right. Now, with mobile chat moving to the afternoon, it was previously Wednesday evenings. How has that changed for you, doing an afternoon Twitter chat, in terms of the community? Are they coming with you? Is it new people? Is it both? What are you finding with the new time slot?
Well, great question. Last Tuesday was our first time in the new time slot, and we had Madeline Sklar on as the guest. And so, I think that really helped
Right.
people to pay attention, because it's Madeline. But I think it's been a little bit easier for people to actually jump in. It's so late in the evenings and before, but I had kept it at that time just out of precedent, because that was where it was before I took over the chat. And this just made sense for Angelica and I to move it to the afternoon. And you're right, we had our community be able to come over with us, but we've also been able to reach others who were not able to participate in the past due to time differences, right? Like it's 3 a.m. in England when it's 9 p.m. here. Who wants to? I don't expect them to jump on a
So it opens up Europe, right? I mean, it opens.
Yeah. It opens up Europe, and so that's cool. And we intended it to be a global chat, not just a U.S. chat. And so it's really helped, which is another day, because a chance to reach a global audience.
Right. And Julie makes a good point to keep in mind for anybody who is trying to be a mobile journalist, right? It's one thing to report from your location, but not get in a car and drive into a flooded streets by yourself there or with a friend is probably not the way you want to go. Don't try and be a hero just to get something on live streaming. And it's important to remind people of that, because sometimes the camera gets a little addicting, right? And it's one thing to provide information when it's happening in front of you. It's another thing to forget about. The idea of running into trouble isn't maybe the best thing to do.
Exactly.
Welcome, Claudia. Welcome. Thank you, Julie, again, for those comments. So what do you want people who are not affected right now to know why should they come over to Mobile Chat today at 3 p.m. Eastern and find out more about what's happening with Hurricane Harvey, or Tropical Storm Harvey, I guess they're now calling it.
Yes, tropical storm that won't go away.
Right.
Unprecedented flooding here in Houston. We've had really bad floods in the past, but this has been truly, they use the word catastrophic, and it is not an over-exaggeration.
Right.
It's amazing photos myself and know that, these areas can get high water, but to see the water actually reach the highway signs at the tops, I mean, that's a really high. Yeah. And then so that's why I wanted to make sure that we brought attention globally so that people know how to help. A lot of the organizations are really right now asking for financial donations if you're able, because that's how it'll help them to mobilize, because they may be able to get things faster, as well as more items for the their money's worth, right? Their value out of their items, as opposed to us donating it. I know the shelters, though, definitely need things like baby wipes and baby food and things like that. So if you're able to safely get out of your house and you're here locally, then I would, encourage you to do so. And not here in the Houston area, please consider making a financial donation to one of the organizations that will definitely help this community, because this is going to continue on time.
Yeah, and you can see when you can see the tops of the trees and you don't see any of the trunk, that it's an extremely high flood, and you can see the buildings looks like downtown that are actually underwater. Looks like halfway underwater. So for some of the buildings, that it's serious flooding.
Yeah, it's crazy flooding. I wish I'd had more time to shoot you some more photos, just because it's amazing. Some of the photos, I could not believe that they got out of their houses to go do this. Looking back to them, okay, please be careful. But thankful for some of the images. I guess another place is H-E-B, which is a regional grocery store here, who is also a huge community partner. They mobilized immediately to go down to South Texas and set up mobile kitchens to feed people. And so if you're in Texas, they're going to start I believe one of those scannable donation typically do to help those in South Texas and here in Houston as well. And then right before I came on, I saw that Dallas is opening up their convention center for I believe 10,000
I saw they were looking into doing that, yeah.
And they've gone beyond looking into it. They actually are setting up COTSO. And then San Antonio, I know, has opened up their area. I don't know if it's the convention center or the stadium, but they're accepting 10,000 evacuees in San Antonio. So we are definitely Texas strong, and we like to help our own neighbors.
Well, that's great. Thank you so much for taking a few minutes to come on. I know you got to get ready for Mobile Chat. Do everybody follow Ann over to Mobile Chat, 3 p.m. Eastern, coming up in a half an hour on Twitter, and you can learn a lot more about what's going on with the storm and how you can help and contribute to making somebody's life a little bit easier who's maybe without a home, without shelter, without a place to go right now, and certainly a lot of people could use our help. So please do tune in again. Mobile Chat on Twitter, 3 p.m. Eastern. And thanks again for spending a few minutes.
Thank you so much for having me on. I'll see you guys on Twitter. # Mobile Chat.
Thanks a lot. Have a great day, everybody.